Types of energy. There's many different types of energy. A couple of you probably have heard before are potential energy and kinetic energy. Potential energy can be further broken down into three different types: gravitational potential energy, elastic potential energy, and chemical potential energy. So what is potential energy? Potential energy is the energy that is stored and waiting to be used at a later time. What is gravitational potential energy? Gravitational potential energy is potential energy due to an object's position. It usually refers to how high it is above the ground. And it's real easy to calculate. It's mass times gravity times height. So mass times 9.8 times the height. What is elastic potential energy? Elastic potential energy is due to compression or the expansion of an elastic object. It has an equation equal to 0.5 k x delta x squared, where k is a constant of the characteristic of the spring. X refers to how high it or how much did it compress, and 0.5 has to do with 1/2. Chemical potential energy is the potential energy stored within the chemical bonds of an object. And you saw this in chemistry, especially with a combustion, where when we lit something on fire, what was happening was the bonds were being broken. And when the bonds were being broken, it was releasing heat. And that was the fire that you saw. What is kinetic energy? Kinetic energy is the energy of an object when it's moving or it's in motion. And it has an equation 0.5 times the mass times v squared. Mass is m, v is velocity. Here's an example, okay, where you can see how kinetic energy, potential energy change throughout the course of this roller coaster. When it's on the ground, it has all kinetic energy, but when it's up high, it has some kinetic energy and some potential energy, and it changes over time. Here's another example how you can see how as we're getting lower and lower and lower, the potential energy decreases, but the kinetic energy increases because its speed increases. So you need to ask yourself, if it's moving, does it have velocity? Then it's considered kinetic energy. If it's above the ground, does it have a height? Well, then it's going to have gravitational potential energy. Is there a spring being stretched or compressed? Well, then it's going to have elastic potential energy. Last thing I want to mention is the law of conservation of energy, where energy is not created or destroyed, but it's merely just transferred. And you saw that with the roller coaster animation, where potential energy was converted to kinetic energy, and kinetic energy was then converted back into potential energy, and vice versa. The last thing I want to mention is some energy gets lost, but we still have to account for that energy being lost because it's conserved, and that's called dissipated energy, or energy that is lost to a surrounding as heat or sound, and we still need to account for that so the numbers equal each other.